It is 6 p.m. The April 6, 2026 session of the City of Eau Claire Plan Commission is called to order. If anyone in our audience wants to speak tonight, please complete a public hearing contact form located, is it on the back table tonight? Or at the front desk? And give it to one of our planners at the front table. I ask that everyone turn your cell phones off or to silent mode. I will call tonight's attendance roll. Commissioner Brewster.
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Here.
Commissioner Erickson.
Here.
Commissioner Holzman.
Here.
Commissioner Lawson.
Here.
Commissioner Leonard.
Here.
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Zoig.
Here.
And Commissioner Helgeson is here. We have a full load of 9 commissioners here tonight. Good to see. I will read our standard introductory language for how we conduct business at our meetings. During tonight's meeting, Plan Commission members will be participating in person to deliberate and take action on the agenda items before us. The Plan Commission attempts to conduct its public hearings in a relatively informal manner, within the constraint that we must deal with the issues before us in an orderly and businesslike fashion. We give the applicant an opportunity to speak first, and then others are each permitted to speak, either for or against the proposal. We do request that everyone restrict their comments to the issues before us, avoid unnecessary repetition, and be prudent in the use of time. We want to be sure that we have adequate time to deal as carefully with the last items on the agenda as with the first. If you wish to view, but not comment at tonight's meeting, it can be viewed through the live event link on the city's homepage under Public Notices and Meetings. This meeting is being recorded at the same location. We will move on to tonight's agenda. Item number 3, which is our open public comment period for those agenda items that do not appear on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Agenda items 5, 6, and 7 are public hearings and will have a comment time as part of each item. Agenda items 9 and 10 are discussion among commissioners only. Agenda item 4, our consent agenda, and agenda item 8, a public discussion, are open for public comment at this time. Is there anyone here wishing to give public comment on agenda items 4 or 8 or any other comments not related to tonight's agenda? If so, please come forward. Anyone that would like to speak on items 4 or 8 or any other issues that are not on tonight's agenda, please come forward. Can you state your name, address, and spell your last name?
Is this on? Sorry. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Rachel Schulte, Schulte. My address is 222 Water Street, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, 54703. And did you just need my name and my address?
You spell your last S-C-H-U-L-T-E.
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, hello. My name is Rachel Schulte. I am a resident of Eau Claire and a social work student at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire. I'm here today to urge you to support legislation that would exempt menstrual products from taxation in our city. As of July 2025, 18 states still charge sales tax on these products. Unfortunately, Wisconsin remains one of them. As a local legislator, you have the power to lead the way by supporting exemption of these items. In my role as the Student Health and Wellness Director for Student Senate at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and as a future social worker, I have a dedicated interest in this issue. I have seen firsthand how it specifically affects students at the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and I am concerned about how the lack of access will continue to impact our community's overall well-being if no legislative change is made. Eliminating tax on menstrual products is a vital step toward ending period poverty, which is the inability to afford or access menstrual products, sanitation facilities, and education. This is a widespread issue affecting all areas of Wisconsin as well as Eau Claire, and menstruation is often treated as a choice or a luxury when in reality it is a biological process. When we fail to provide affordable access, we turn a biological function into a social crisis for constituents trying to maintain their health and dignity. While organizations like the United Nations Women recognize period poverty as a global crisis, it remains taboo. A taboo topic in many legislative circles. This hesitation to address the issue results in real-world accessibility barriers for the people that you represent. Much of the argument against these exemptions centers on state revenue. Opponents, including some tax policy groups, argue that eliminating these taxes reduces essential funding, and that because these products aren't used by everyone, they should be categorized as luxury goods. However, there is nothing luxury about a basic health necessity. The burden of this tax disproportionately affects our most vulnerable neighbors. According to the Hope Gospel Mission, an estimated 733 individuals experience homelessness each year in Eau Claire, and that number rises each year. While we may not have the exact data on how many of these individuals menstruate, we know that for those who do, the cost of these products is a significant barrier to hygiene and health. Currently, 2 in 5 menstruating people struggle to purchase supplies due to lack of income. Chances are we each know someone who has experienced this need, a classmate, a neighbor, a coworker, or a friend. By taxing these items to generate revenue, the state ignores the financial hardship placed on its citizens. The consequences are far-reaching. A lack of basic necessities puts the physical, mental, and economic well-being of individuals at risk. No one in our city should be forced to use socks or wads of toilet paper because they cannot afford the products they need to get through the day. By eliminating tax on menstrual products, you would be removing just one of the many barriers that stops people from accessing products. Removing tax is about fairness and addresses gender-based economic disparities of Eau Claire residents. It would make accessing menstrual products easier and ensures that no adult would have to miss work, no student would have to miss school, and no person would miss out on daily life because they are unable to afford the basic necessities they require to thrive. It would show that you as city council members care about the health necessities and overall public health of Eau Claire residents. To wrap it up, period poverty is a systemic problem that requires a policy solution. You have an opportunity to take an actionable step today. I urge you to introduce or support legislation that removes the sales tax on these basic necessities. It is a simple and effective way to make life more affordable for those who need it. And I have some sheets that provide more information. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to the well-being of Eau Claire.
Thank you. You could pause there. Staff, can you help me out here? Is this an appropriate issue for this commission?
Yeah,
It's open public comment period, so
Okay.
anything can be spoken.
Okay.
But it's just for comment?
Yes, but if Ms. Schulte would like to see it on a future agenda, this would
No,
not.
this would be a city council policy type thing.
Okay, yeah. Are you planning to go to the next council meeting, or future council meeting?
Yes, is there one tomorrow?
Next Monday.
Next Monday?
That would be
Okay.
the appropriate forum.
Okay.
For an item like this, rather than the plan commission, we deal more with site development and things like that.
Okay, yeah.
This is more of a social.
Yeah, I just thought that on the city council website, it says that Monday nights before council meetings that you do a public comment period, and that it happens on every second second Monday of each month, and it's the second month of, or the second week of April.
No, this is the first Monday of April. This is when the the council has their public forum on the Monday nights before the official council meeting on Tuesday. So
Okay.
whenever that next second Monday night, the 13th, is when you would want to come and give your testimony to the council. And
Okay.
then they will vote on what they've heard the following days. Would that be correct, Mr. Brewster, Commissioner Brewster?
Or people can just bring items to our attention as you've done.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfectly suitable use for that time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Is that
Yeah, so basically 6 p.m. next Monday.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to comment tonight? Agenda items 4, 8, or any other comments for items not on the agenda tonight? Anyone else that would like to comment during the open Come forward, sir. Thank you. State your name, address, and spell your last name.
Yeah, my name is Daniel Shea, S-H-E-A. And I live at 646 Putnam Drive. And the planning committee sent me a letter somehow concerning my lot size. I don't know if the letter you sent me you'd like to see?
Staff, could you take a look at the letter, or?
Yeah, this is on the agenda for item number coming up on Harding Avenue. You must live on Putnam Drive?
Correct.
Yeah, the city owns some, this university actually owns some parcels that we're rezoning to public to maintain open space.
Okay, so
You live in-
who will own that land?
The university still.
Okay. Are they gonna do a survey and market, you know?
Probably not.
Okay, thank you.
So this will, Mr. Petrie, what item would this fall under? then?
That's item number 6, I believe.
Okay. Sir, you'll have an opportunity to come back when we get to item 6?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, sure. Anyone else that would like to speak tonight on items 4, 8, or anything else that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will close the public comment period. And we will move on to our consent agenda, item number 4. Tonight, our consent agenda has 4 sub-items, all described on our agenda. The public comment period for the consent agenda was offered during item 3 and has now expired. The entirety of the consent agenda will be acted upon by a single vote. Are there any commissioners that have questions, comments, or would like to see any of the 4 sub-items removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda? Commissioner Brewster?
Yeah, I would like some, just clarification from staff on the Eddy Street Bridge option, or the Eddy Street Bridge item.
Sure. Mr. Rinka?
Yes. So you just want me to give you a quick overview?
Yes, please, and I might ask you a question if
Yep.
your overview doesn't cover it.
Okay, so Eddy Street Bridge, that is a railroad-owned bridge. The city does not own it. It was about 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, the city tried to redesign, replace the bridge. Got so far when we realized that we do not own the bridge. It is indeed a railroad-owned bridge, so that kind of hit the brakes back then. It's just kind of been sitting in its current state over the years, deteriorating. Bridge inspections were not performed by the city because we didn't own the bridge, like we do with all of our other bridges. It was all the responsibility of the railroad. So, well, it was about, a year and a half ago when we had to close the bridge. That's kind of what triggered this tidal wave of things in motion with the railroad to negotiate getting it from their ownership to our ownership. And we've been working on that for about 14, 15 months now. And we are finally here tonight to put an end to it, get it under our possession, and then we already have, the DOT has reserved us a spot to get this bridge into the next bridge program. That was since last October, but they've been holding on to it for us, knowing this night was coming. And then we'll get it into design, and we're hoping to do it on a fast track and replace the bridge in 2 years.
Great. Quick question if I could.
Yes, please.
So I noticed in the contract language, it says that we own the bridge, we will own the bridge, but not the land that it's on. Is that something that will, if it took you this long to, or if
Well-
it took them this long to agree to sell the bridge, is it gonna take them that long if we
Well,
take
they're
them?
just saying, we're not gonna own the railroad track underneath, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but wherever we need to build our stuff up top, and along the sides, that's us, so
Okay.
it's a non-issue.
All right.
Yeah, I was kind of my question had to do with, are we getting a right-of-way access to do whatever else we need in relationship to putting a new bridge in there? Would be my clarification question, just to make
Yep.
sure that that's happening.
Yeah, we're getting everything we need to do a new bridge, new alignment, but yeah, really, we don't have to really interfere with the railroad property down below.
Right.
We're gonna put the abutments outside the railroad right away, so we're gonna span over their property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Rinka. Are there any other questions on the 4 sub-items on our consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda. Commissioner Lawson,
I'll make the motion to pass that.
Commissioner Leonard?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That motion passes. Oh, Commissioner Brewster, I forgot about you again, sorry. That motion passes 9-0. We move on to our regular agenda, to item 5, which was a postponement from our March meeting. This is a public hearing regarding the land development ordinance and heavy vehicle parking. Mr. Noel.
Okay, evening, Plan Commissioners. Yep, this item is returning to you with some additional research that you requested. It also went before the City Council. They didn't have much input. It was just more of a formality because we posted the public notice, had to go before them. They subsequently postponed it to come back to you. So the updates here, again, this is the, this sort of is a two-pronged issue. So I've singled out the first issue, which is modernizing the heavy vehicle ordinance, which is currently 6,000 pounds. We're recommending to go up to 10,000 pounds for light duty, which is consistent, as we talked about last month, with the Federal Highway Administration's light duty classifications, again, in the green category. RVs, recreational vehicles that weigh more, are allowed to also be in residential zones because they're used for non-commercial purposes. So all the rest are usually used for ag, commercial, industrial type purposes. So keeping that in mind. Then again, just an overview of the light duty and when it tips into medium duty, pounds, and then heavy duty, and so forth. You advised us to look at the DOT's licensing requirements, so I was able to go and meet with Commissioner Zoig at his place of work, actually, which is very instructive in terms of learning about the licensing provisions. And as you can see here, the state has these categories labeled with letters. And you can see at X is the 10,000 threshold, which is what we had recommended. So if you would look at a license plate, here are some of the trucks that were on site at the dealer. And you look up at a pickup, this is a Class C, 8,000 pounds. You start to move into an X, you're at 10,000, so like a cargo van. You're pushing past 10 as a Class D, Class T, all the way up to a semi-truck. And this is like gross weight, so you might have a combination of the vehicle plus a trailer and the weight, and that's how it's licensed by the state when they get weighed to make sure that they're actually meeting those rules. So an easy way to enforce this is to actually just denote the top letter on the license plate to understand if they're meeting, in this case, say an X. You can see that right on the plate. So that's a very good way for neighborhood services to be able to enforce the ordinance when it comes to that sort of thing. So got some great hands-on instruction from Commissioner Zoig on this. And then also looking at some of the length of these vehicles with consistency related back to our new zoning front yard setbacks of 20 feet or less. And just adding a provision about that these trucks would be less than 21 feet in terms of the total length of the vehicle. So this is the first issue relating to sort of updating this ordinance. So you can see here that we've added some, this actually should say and is more than 21 feet in length because it's talking about a heavy vehicle. So apologize for that error there, but it should say more. And then we'll get into the issue 2 with the conditional use permit. So that is the ordinance in terms of just those tweaks that we're recommending. Talking with legal and our neighborhood services, they're all supportive of these changes. Now moving into the second issue, this is the conditional use permit to look at these heavy vehicles that are over 10,000 pounds to how would they be allowed in these low density residential neighborhoods was the concern, the question. So you could see in these low-density neighborhood zoning districts, which we have 3 of them, this table, if it would be passed, would add a C, which is a conditional use permit. Again, we had cited these concerns by staff that a lot of these vehicles are banned from traditional settings with low-density residential because of all the different concerns we might have, whether it's air pollution, diesel exhaust, noise, vibration, wear and tear on roads, their own driveways, creating blocks, congestion dangers with turning and elongating turning movements, backing in, pulling out. Again, they're large vehicles, they're taller, they're harder to screen from adjacent views from residents. They can negatively impact property values to the adjacent homeowner, the aesthetics of the neighborhood too, in introducing more of an industrial, commercial type vibe to a residential area and so on. Can cause product storage and warehousing on-site in garages or off-site storage, which is not allowed in residential neighborhoods. And also for on-site repairs with pneumatic tools and things like that, causing noises for neighbors. So again, really considering the property owners that live in and around these sites if a conditional use permit would be approved. And so as we constructed this proposed conditional use permit option, these are the things that we had to really take into account. And again, just some concerns here about damage to roads that are not built for heavy vehicles. This is a 4-inch bituminous example of crack pavement into a driveway, parking on streets that cause blocks lanes for vehicles moving through the area. So here's the actual ordinance. We updated this from the last version based off of our additional review. So looking at Oshkosh, Green Bay, Madison in particular, these communities also use that 10,000 pound threshold, and they also curbed it down to these sort of types of trucks. So a cube or a box truck, a food truck, catering, vending, a van, tow truck, limousine, and a semi-truck cab only. So really trying to kind of narrow that down into these type of vehicles that would be less impactful for these residential districts. So that was new, that was added. And again, this would only be a conditional use permit for 1 and 2 family houses. And also further review, we have a 15,000 pound limit on no-through trucks. And so that is also noted in there with the no-through truck route shall not be located on one of these designated routes. We added in as well the adjacent to or adjoin a commercial or industrial district as well from before. The rest of the information was the same as before in terms of screening, hard surfaces, a 10-foot setback from the side or rear property line to give that buffering so you could do that screening, that the lot shall be a ½ acre in size. And then this was some of the other things, the concerns that you might have other sort of uses that kind of are created based off of these heavier vehicles, whether they're like bulldozers, skid steers, forklifts, and oil mixers and things like that, that can be sometimes brought in by these types of vehicles. So being explicit about that these are not allowed, dump trucks and things like that, related to where it might end up being kind of almost like a contractor is storing some of his other vehicles on there. Again, back to only allowing one heavy vehicle used by the resident through the conditional use permit process. And again, storage, storage associated with the heavy vehicle. And then just the general catch-all nuisances related to our code and ordinances, which is dealing with noise and air, things like that. And that the conditional use permit would not actually run with the land, that the homeowner would basically, when they would move on, it would become null and void. So we could verify that based off of title searches. So that is the ordinance. Based off of our research and looking at these other communities, the 10,000 pound is the threshold, and I think that's because of the FHA and also Class X from the DOT licensing, that we would recommend updating the ordinance to the 10,000 with the 21 or more feet in length of to define a heavy duty vehicle, and that we would not recommend pursuing a conditional use permit option with just the negative concerns with residents living next to some sort of vehicle like this. If you have any questions of staff, we're available. Otherwise, a public hearing.
Questions for Mr. Noel? Commissioner Brewster.
Thank you. With looking at the conditional use option, my understanding is with those, neighbors are required to give a thumbs up to that, are they not?
They can object, but it's not contingent on that. It'd be contingent on your guys' approval or denial or conditions added. If with the new LDO update, we wanted to be very more objective based, and hence that's why you have a lot of those rules attached to it.
Sure.
So that it's helpful for you guys to be able to determine if this actually makes sense or not.
Thanks.
Any further questions for Mr. Noel on this item? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Noel. This item is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to give public comment on agenda item 5? Please come forward.
Commissioners,
Please state your name, address, and spell your last name.
my name is Craig Rehn, R-I-H-N. I live at 3014 Seymour Road, Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
Yes, Mr. Reed.
Okay, a couple of those pictures in there, that was of my place, my truck. I've been parking there for 11 years. The tore-up road, there was a pothole in front of that driveway when I moved there 11 years ago, and the city's been patching it and fixing it and whatever. FedEx is straight across the street from where I live. They run in and out of there Monday through Friday, and then about 5 or 6 trucks on Saturday. So that picture doesn't really depict exactly what it is, because, I mean, there's trucks, garbage trucks, quad axles, many, many trucks use Seymour Road, many. I'm asking them for a conditional use permit. I've gone to all of my neighbors. I've turned that paperwork into the city council. I didn't find one of my neighbors that had any complaints with me. They actually all like me living there. I take care of the sidewalk. I don't know if that's my responsibility, but I've redone the sidewalks for the heavy. I've poured a cement pad for my truck to park on. I put a fence in, so if you're coming from the west going east, you'd never know it was there. You'd have to actually look over your shoulder to see it sitting there. I guess I really don't have any more than that. I've been to city council twice. I've had neighborhood services. There was a complaint against me, and I'm pretty sure it was from an ex-employee from the company that I'm leased to. I dispatched for that company, and he wanted his job back, so I think that's who called, but that's neither here nor there. I guess I really don't have anything else. I'm just getting close to retirement. I don't want to have to move out of Eau Claire, but right now I'm looking at other houses. Eau Claire's not a truck-friendly town. There's no parking unless you want to pay $1,000 a month. Maybe a year ago I could have paid that, but now at $5 fuel, there's no way. I mean, I'm just one-horse operation, just trying to make a living, and I guess thought I was trying to do the right thing, taking care of, the sidewalk and the driveway, and trying to make it look good. And like I said, I went around and talked to all my neighbors, and they love me living there. 3 of them said, well, when you start your truck up in the morning, you're my alarm clock every morning. It's like, so that's all I have, I guess.
Questions for Mr. Reen? Commissioner Brewster.
Thank you, Chair. How long have you lived in that location, and how long have you been keeping your truck there?
11 years and 11 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Reen? Thank you, Mr. Reen. Staff, could you comment on this proposal and how what Mr. Reen is requesting, how this fits in?
Yeah, this gentleman is not the applicant. This is the city of Eau Claire that actually proposed this based off of 2 council members who wanted to look into this issue.
Okay,
So it's not driven by staff.
okay.
In the course of our research, we did find that the 6,000 pound was out of date for the actual heavy vehicles. So we are recommending that, but in general, we do have serious concerns about the impact to residential neighborhoods.
Okay. So if this item 6 was approved tonight, at this point, he would have no recourse then to apply for a C?
Yeah, the gentleman is in violation currently and
Okay.
has for the last 11 years.
Okay.
And so it came to a head as he described. And my understanding is that he spoke to council members about his concern, and so this issue is now before you. But ultimately, the council would need to approve something like this. Then he would have to apply for a conditional use permit and get that actually passed as well. So there are more steps in the process if this actually goes that route.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Noel.
Okay.
Any further questions on Mr. Noel on the process here? Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Noel, just to clarify, what are we voting on here tonight? Is it to recommend as written? Does that include not having a conditional use permit, or is there a path to a permit in this language? Dummy it down for me.
Yeah, you're considering the proposed legislation tonight. So if you make amendments, that's under your purview, but that's the item before you. It's been public noticed, this ordinance.
With a path for a conditional use permit or not, based on city's staff?
The way it's written, it does provide a path for a conditional use permit. Staff is against that, but that is the research for you.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Noel? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Noel. Would anybody else like to comment tonight on item number 5? It is a public hearing. Anybody else on item 5? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing on this. And I would entertain a motion here from the commission.
I so move.
We have a motion for approval from Commissioner Brewster. Commissioner Holzman.
I will second.
We have a second from Commissioner Holzman. Any further discussion on the recommended item here in item number 5, which Mr. Noel pointed out in his presentation? Commissioner Zoig.
I just want a clarification on the motion, what you're motioning for approval.
I'm moving for approval that we update the language in the code with regards to the 10,000 pounds and 21 feet, or the research that staff has done on that, and also include a pathway for a conditional use permit.
And I concur with that.
Commissioner Leonard, did you have a? Okay. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on this item. Any further discussion?
On your motion, I'm for the upgrading the weight, but not allowing a conditional use permit on this topic. I feel we're just gonna open ourselves to per se, a can of worms and being biased to certain individuals instead of the city as it is a rule right now already. And I feel that's not the path we should go. This should be a simple, you can park this vehicle in your yard or not. I know I just feel like we're gonna get ourselves into a lot of bias decisions in the next going forth. So if this is how it is, I'm gonna be voting against this unless that conditional use permit is out, so.
Commissioner Brewster.
Thank you, Chair. I guess the process, as I understand it, the process for a conditional use allows us to take, other factors into consideration. I'm looking at a map right now of where this gentleman lives. Not that he's the reason that this is happening, but for example, for his situation, he is literally right across the street from FedEx, which there is oodles of trucks going all the time. I think if somebody meets the criteria for the conditional use, that doesn't automatically obligate us to approve it. We are able to look at other extenuating circumstances. I understand your concerns with regards to how things could end up in some sort of biases. But I think if we're open about our justifications, I see that being of minimal concern.
Yeah, and the FedEx, that's zoned differently than the residential zone. So as a planning commission, we're looking at zoning laws. And so FedEx can do it. Now, if he was parking his truck on the other side of the road and FedEx allowed him, we wouldn't have this issue, right? We wouldn't be talking about this, but it's a residential location in a residential neighborhood. And that is zoned on the other side of the road as most likely commercial or however it is. So just because one's on one side of the street, it's zoning laws we have to watch.
Mr. Noel, could you refresh me? Was it staff's recommendation not to have a CUP?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to vote no on this also. I would support it without the CUP. Anybody else that would like to comment before we vote on the motion? Commissioner Brewster.
Would it make sense to divide this question? I think it might, considering reading the room, I imagine pretty close to unanimous consent on the increasing the weight limit and stuff like that, but there's some concern about the CUP, and so perhaps dividing the question might make some sense in this situation.
Sure.
So,
Would you like to re-motion?
well, we'll just vote on each item separately.
Okay. Did there need to be a restatement of this motion then?
No, we understand.
Okay, so we would vote on the weight and the length, and then we would vote on whether to allow a CUP.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So just to understand that we're going to do two separate votes. So I'm going to open it up if there's any more comments on the new process here, what we're going to do. No comments? Okay, we will vote on the approving the 10,000, up to 10,000 pounds and no more than 21 feet of length. I will,
Sorry, Chair, it would be more than, that typo that I caught,
yeah.
more than.
More than 21. Okay, thank you. So I will call that vote right now. Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Commissioner Brewster?
Aye.
And Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes 9-0. Our second vote is to whether or not we are going to allow a path for a CUP on this item. Any further discussion before we vote on that sub-item? Commissioner Davis.
Just commenting. I mean, guys, folks, I appreciate this is our second opportunity to talk about this, and I appreciate the opinions and positions that commissioners have that wouldn't want this in their backyard, right? Let's remember what our whole purpose is sitting here tonight. The path to a conditional use permit doesn't automatically grant a conditional use permit. It sets out a set of rules that an individual would have to adhere by. As of looking through what was presented tonight, those rules are pretty frickin' specific, for a lack of better words. Mr. Zoig, and your comment as far as zoning, I believe one of the conditions that I had read is it had to be contingent or near other zoning of that type. Is that correct, Mr. Noel? I think those are pretty specific requirements that would have to play with this conditional use permit, not to mention half acre in size as far as a city lot. I mean, there's many things listed here that are specifically detailed to the types of individuals that would find themselves in a position to have to apply for a conditional use permit. And most likely, those are individuals like Mr. Wright here, who's been doing it for 12 years and maybe isn't in compliance, and hopefully he's got a big enough lot and a shop, and the list goes on and on, to be able to meet these requirements. Now, does it say that, is this gonna fit for every neighborhood in town? No. No neighborhood in town is cookie cutter and is suitable for something like this. But there are some neighborhoods that are still in the city of Eau Claire that haven't gotten to modernization like others, right? Now, I live over on the south side of town. Do I want a dump truck in my front yard? No. However, if I lived on the north side of town and there's a guy that's been running a business for 30 years and he's just trying to do the right thing, and he's got a shop and that's what's set up and that's how his neighborhood is set up to run, it happens all the time. Go over Western Avenue, go on the north side of town, go into some more of the economic disadvantage areas of our city, and we're gonna see this all the time. We can't just end what they've been doing for years based on tonight's vote. Now, I understand we have to go with the way the law is written, and there's been folks like Mr. Wright that have been breaking the law for years, and that needs to be addressed. I get that. If it's not right, it's wrong. But we can't just cut it in half and tell everybody no more after today. If there's a path to righteousness, let them take that path. And if they meet the requirements, they should get the conditional use permits, because that's the whole purpose for them. If they don't meet the requirements and they don't get the permit, and that is what it is. As far as fear of biases, we have a set of rules that govern us, and I think anybody in this room can agree. I've probably abstained for more votes than anybody else in the history of this Plan Commission for the purpose of not wanting to be biased. Okay, so that all goes back down to your personal ethics and moralities on whether you choose to be biased. So I'll get off my soapbox, but that's my opinion. I know I said enough on it last time, and I've said all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? So,
I can say mine.
Yes, Commissioner Reed.
Sorry, I jumped in late.
It's okay.
Thank you, Chair. I know a month ago I had talked about being in opposition to the CUP process, and I thought a lot about the health issues that come from parking these large trucks in residential neighborhoods, and then I thought a lot about the health issues that come with forcing our workers to do a double commute. And to me, it seems like an equity issue. I don't necessarily find the CUP process to be particularly liberating for anybody. But in a city where, like you say, it's already not truck friendly, this seems like the least we can do to offer some kind of release valve for them. So I plan to vote yes for this.
Any further comments? Commissioner Holzman.
One of the things that comes up, and it was part of the whole rezoning process, is that, the city's been around quite a number of years, and we've had various levels of zoning at different times and different levels of enforcement or lack of enforcement, and different types of development in different places. And sometimes we got development that occurred before the property became into the city. And that's all history, and part of that's the history of the city. And having the conditional use permit process takes into account some of that history in a specific spot where it's been that way forever. But it also does give the neighbors the opportunity to weigh in, and gives everybody the opportunity to look at the site specifics of that location and say, well, is it okay to make an exception for this property owner here as a conditional use? And it's also a situation where if he sells the property, the conditional use doesn't go with the property. A new property owner would have to get a new conditional use if they wish to continue that. So I'm in favor of a conditional use permit system.
Thank you, Commissioner Holzman. Anyone else? So since the motion was made to allow a path for a conditional use permit, a yes vote would be to support a path to a CUP. A no vote would not be to not support a path to the CUP. So just a point of clarification there. I will call the vote. Commissioner Holzman. Commissioner Reed,
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
No.
The chair votes no. Commissioner Brewster,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson.
No.
That motion passes, 6 votes aye, 3 votes nay. Thank you, everyone, on that item. We will move on to item number 6, which is a public hearing for a rezoning. This has to do with our land development ordinance, some amendments and changes, and Mr. Noel will be our presenter.
Okay, so we're 6 months into the new LDO, and we're learning a lot. Feel like new planners here at the City of Eau Claire, even though we've been here 10 years, 19 years. So kind of helps to challenge us, something new. And so a lot of this is like errors, omissions, clarification type things, reformatting. I'm not going to bore you to death with all that stuff. Kind of picking out a few highlights, and we can talk about it. Then if you have questions, we're here. It is a public hearing as well. But we did have a couple zoning map changes, and that's probably what got the most like public interested in it, because we had send out the notices around the properties. So just to show you the 4 properties, these were ones that we missed when we actually did the cleanup to the whole city with all the parcels, which there's a lot of parcels that we cleaned up, whether they were dual zoned or incorrectly zoned. And so these ones in particular here are owned by the city. There's 3 parcels. They're zoned, actually it should say GR, general residential, rezoned to P public, so consistent with the ownership, which is the city, consistent with stormwater provisions. And in particular, the area over on Taft used to be residential area. Homes were removed, bought out by the city. It's all meant for stormwater purposes, kind of a regional holding pond, also used for open space. So we had a lot of residents in that area just call, ask about what's going on. Again, rezoning to P public makes it consistent with the land use, so it's not meant for housing. And then this other one back behind these houses off of Grover, no phone calls there. These other 2 are zoned currently neighborhood residential. They're owned by non-city entities. The one on the left by the Chippewa River is actually owned by Excel through their Dells Improvement Co. And this is land that is open space for them, but they do have some transmission lines. So we had no issue with from them just rezoning that to P public. It also is nice to have P public along the river. Again, would not be for housing. It's owned by Excel Energy. And then the other one was kind of a peculiar little situation of these 3 small, I don't know the history of why all that is back there, but these little remnant pieces owned by the Board of Regents, the university system, checked with the university, and they have no issue with this going from neighborhood residential to P public, which is part of the Putnam Park Reserve. So they had no problem with that. So these are the 4 rezonings that we've got for you on the map. And then we'll move into the text.
Questions on these rezonings? Anybody for Mr. Noel?
Again, just cleanup work. So again, more cleanup work. There's, I think like 60 sections in your staff report. There's a lot, including some things that the engineers found in the stormwater Title 19, which more clarification type stuff like use square footage. So for these sections here, I'm just gonna pull out a couple. We've got, more building type rules, bird safe glass and cladding materials and windows. So this table, and again, the actual text is in your packet, but to not belabor it, makes it more consistent with the windows, the glazing provisions that they would only be triggered for the impacted site. So say you did an addition, then you'd have to meet for that addition part only, the impacted site, the glazing requirements. So again, more practical. It also, as you move up the scale for redevelopment, major redevelopment is 75% of the actual building is now being redeveloped. Then you would also have to add invisible. So this is consistent with building cladding and so forth, so it's all the same, makes sense, because we don't really want to be poking windows into buildings where it's not really needed. It could be a structural issue, so we think this makes more sense, more practical. And then Section 5 deals with a lot of different kind of nuances on the permitted uses, whether they were an air, mist. For example, the tiny cottage home courts are actually single-family properties, and so they weren't actually listed in the GR and NR district. So just clarifying that. Different nuances with adult and childcare businesses. Golf courses were not alphabetical in terms of the table. And then we also caught some errors about in the high-density district, we didn't have some provisions on when commercial uses could be allowed in, say, an apartment building. So we wanted to make sure that those were more present and detailed for like when you'd be able to do a restaurant or kind of usually more of the auxiliary type functions for the apartment, but might also be open for the general public, a gift shop, a little retail shop, things like that, a mixed-use building that's prominently residential. So that details that. And then we also created a new definition for contractors that was not in the code, so we added that as well and put some provisions. And again, a lot of this was just by process of working with the public, learning like, oh, it doesn't say anything in the code about this, or there's a gap or something, and so let's clarify, let's add it in after staff reviewed it. Sections 9 and 12 add those supplemental standards for that urban high-density residential zone that I just mentioned. Section 33 talks about the landscape letter of credit. So when a home builder comes in, we wanted to make sure that it was clear that the 1 through 2 or 1 through 4 units don't actually need to submit a letter of credit to the city for that. All other projects do. But if you remember, we had a lot of exemptions for 1 and 4 structures that they wouldn't actually have to do as much like building cladding and things like that. So this, we just made clear that you still have to meet the landscape requirements. We can hold up the certificate of occupancy if they're not coming good on it, or we can issue a temporary occupancy if the season, the weather is not conducive for planting. So we have some mechanisms already built in there, and I think the home builders would like this clarification too. We've not heard from them, but this is something that is not an issue right now, but we just wanted to clarify. Section 42 talks about these more compact green courts and carriage courts, if you remember that they're very clustered. Well, we didn't actually change the lot size reduction, so they would still have to meet the lot sizes. Here, we're allowing a reduction of 1,000 square feet for 1-unit dwellings or 500 for 2 through 4-unit dwellings in green courts, because the added space is in the green court. And so the lots can get smaller based off of that additional open space in the green court. It's a little less than in section 43 as it relates to carriage courts, because those lots are basically sharing, if you want, like a shared driveway. And their own driveways come off that shared driveway. So a lot of that lot area is being used by just the facilitation of the vehicles. So we only reduced the 1-unit dwelling by 500 square foot in that case, because there is no common open space. And again, we looked at some of our peer communities that also use the same consultant for us, and this was an example from Thornton, Colorado, of how they kind of reduced it a little bit. So we think that's in keeping and would actually allow builders to really utilize this new subdivision form. And so those were the highlights, if you will. If you have any questions, we're available.
Questions for Mr. Noel? Commissioner Brewster.
Thank you, Chair. Do you imagine like a few more of these over the next few years?
Yes, we caught another one today.
Okay.
And I'm actually reminded that we would like to have you add to your motion a top of bank definition that is basically at the point that's less or greater than 20% of slope. So we had that in our old waterway guidelines, but we had a question about it today, and we realized that there was no definition in the code. It was omitted. So there's just stuff like that when you completely overhaul a zoning code, that something might be missed. So we do anticipate bringing another round back, probably December, we'll see, but I think this worked out pretty good. It's a little bit slow right now in terms of development projects coming in, so we were able as staff to go after the first 6 months of implementation to clean it up.
Any further questions for Mr. Noel? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Noel.
Thank you.
This item is a public hearing. If there's anyone wishing to give public comment, please come forward. State your name, address, and spell your last name.
Hi, I'm Aggie Wattring, Wottreng. I live at 646 Putnam Drive. So I've never been to one of these meetings before, and I'm sorry, I didn't follow half of what, that's our property, the little map that's got the three of us are actually, what are you doing? That's what I want to know. I'm not understanding what this is about.
Staff, can you help this lady out here a little bit?
Those parcels are owned by the university, so they
Yeah.
don't have any intention of doing anything with them. We're just cleaning them up so that right now they're zoned residential. They're so small you can't even get a house on them. But for some reason, they're just isolated like that. We've asked the university if they're okay with rezoning that to P Public, which all the other properties around there that are not, owned by people for residents are owned by the university system. And that would keep it consistent with what's already zoned for Putnam Park.
So, above the little squares is the university owns that up till the hill, up till Harding Avenue. So you're just adding in more to them that you're saying it was just miszoned.
Correct.
Okay, because we personally don't have any listing that says where our property truly ends, but so the university's not doing anything, they're just leaving it as Putnam
No,
Park, just the way it is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else that would like to give public comment tonight on agenda item 6? Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing on item number 6, and the chair would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lawson, a second by Commissioner Brewster for approval of item number 6. Any further discussion from the commission? Commissioner Lawson?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any further discussion?
Sorry.
Your light was still on, sorry. I should have
I was
caught it. No further discussion? Okay. I will call the vote then.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lawson?
Now I'll turn it on. Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Commissioner Brewster?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Thank you. That vote passes 9-0. We will move on to item 7, again, a public hearing for a conditional use permit for a parking lot. Mr. Petrie will be our presenter.
Thank you. Good evening. In front of you this evening is a parking lot, also known as Graham Riverside. It's located in downtown district. Ayers Associates and NAI Commonweal is the applicant, and the address is 402 Graham Avenue. Location along the Chippewa River and Graham Avenue and Gray Street. This is the former parking deck that the city owned and has transferred to the ownership of the building next door. Also in your packet was the preliminary drawings. The site plan would be administratively approved at a later date, but we did have some concept drawings that show the existing site and what the applicant's looking to do. As you recall, council, along with the plan commission, did review excess land and determined that this parking lot, best interest would be to sell it to a potential developer. In that development agreement, it was noted in there that the property would be developed into something other than a parking lot in 5 years. The applicant is in the audience and can talk about his plans if you have any questions or comments. Also in the future, floodplain development permit and the final site plan would be approved after the conditional use permit this evening. In the concept drawings, though, they did mention showing Gray Street as the access point. This plan has been updated a couple times already, so we haven't seen a final plan, but I know Ayers Associates is working on it as we speak. Going back to the public hearing, we did notify within 300 feet. We did hear from some of the applicants or the tenants in the existing building that do use the parking lot every day, and they are looking forward to getting a new parking lot in this year sometime. They didn't have any other concerns. They were just saying that the city should support this conditional use and then approve the site plan and get them a new parking lot as soon as possible. With that, we just have a couple of conditions, as I mentioned, and I would stand for any questions along with the applicant this evening.
Questions for Mr. Petrie? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Petrie.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Please come forward. State your name and address and spell your last name.
Stuart Schaefer, 231 Riverfront Terrace, Schaefer.
What would you like to add, Mr. Schaefer?
Well, I think it's in the submission, but it's the important thing to keep in mind. It's a temporary use. It's no more than 5 years. We're not big on parking lots and agree with the push to keep parking lots off the river. But the ramp that's there now has served the property very well for 40 years. Unfortunately, it's past its useful life. If the ramp could hang on another 5 or 10 years, I think we'd be in good shape to take it down and replace it with a building right away. But there's just that period right now where we're gonna need some parking. Yeah, I think this is the best thing to do is to have some temporary parking there. It gives us a chance to plan a nice building that may include parking for the office building if needed. Maybe extra parking for the office people. So it gives us time to figure that out. I think parking is going to change over the next 5 years, certainly the next 10 or 15. And we really don't want to spend a lot of money on parking facilities we don't need. So we're in an interim period. It's an interim project, and hopefully we can see fit to approve it and move forward.
Questions for Mr. Schaefer? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Again, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here tonight wishing to give public comment on Agenda Item 7, the Graham Riverside parking lot? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion on Item 7.
I'll motion the conditional use permit.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zoig, a second by Commissioner Brewster for approval. Is there any further discussion on the commission? Commissioner Brewster?
Thank you, Chair. Given sort of the history and use of this site and what's coming up, I feel very, very comfortable supporting this, given both that it's temporary and also will be well utilized by the surrounding buildings for the time being. So I just wanted to say I will be supporting it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to call the vote. Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Commissioner Brewster?
Aye.
Commissioner Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Erickson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman?
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson?
Aye.
This motion passes 9-0. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and testimony. We will move on to item 8, which is a public discussion for a site plan, a building addition and renovation by Quick Trip. Mr. Petrie.
Yeah, good evening. This is a site plan in front of you. The reason why it's in front of you this evening, because it's zoned CC plan development. Quick Trip is in the process of buying the location. The location's on your screen, located on Lorch Avenue and Highway 53 in front of the old Gold's Gym, now the YMCA. This property has gone through a little transition since 2024 when the Holiday Station closed. It was reopened shortly thereafter into a BP station, but that closed as well. And now Quick Trip's looking to buy it and expand it and make it into their store. There was numerous comments that were addressed by the applicant and Quick Trip. We do appreciate them working with staff and this commission about their project. There was some conflicts about the driveways and access and the existing roadway. So we do appreciate their time and effort on it. You can see they're adding on both sides of the building. I don't know if anyone's been to the location in the past when it was opened. It is a small footprint, but they are looking to add it on both sides. Retail sales, they're not adding a car wash to this location. The access points would remain. And then they would update their storefront and remodel the existing building and then add on both sides. They are adding parking in the back as well. You can see the landscape plan will be updated and added to as well. Lighting plan is in your packet along with the, this newest drawing that we got on Friday afternoon. I think it was actually, maybe it was today. But you can see Quick Trip has agreed to do the street improvements on the intersection of Lorch Avenue and Old Town Hall Road. It's called a pork chop. I learned that over on Friday and Monday. That was an interesting terminology. I don't really like pork chops, but for road design, I guess that works. This intersection was built when Fleet Farm was built 6 years ago. And they are looking to improve that, and they are willing to do that as part of this project. The site plan does include increased stalls from 19 to 25. Again, they are adding landscaping. They are meeting all the requirements of the new code. They're updating the building facade. They do the standard building facade. They're gonna completely change the site. I would say this is pretty close to the one they did on top of the hill on State Street, but I would think this might actually be in a little worse condition because it's been vacant for 3 months or so, and it's a complete remodel and then expansion, which their byproduct is above and beyond what our requirements of even the new ordinance. So we do appreciate that. They are going to meet all the stormwater and utilities. As I mentioned too, there was a narrative traffic, and they are going to be meeting all that as well. There is still a condition on there, but engineering can maybe speak a little bit more towards the traffic if there's any questions. The Quick Trip is in the audience this evening as well to answer any questions that you may have for them. But as again, we do appreciate them working with us on behalf of this project and making this area. You never like to see a vacant fuel station, especially we have some other ones in this community that have been sitting there for 2-3 years, and unfortunately they don't look the best after they're vacant for that long. So we do appreciate them taking this location over as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. If there's any clarifying questions about this newest site plan that you probably have not seen, our engineering is available along with Quick Trip.
Questions for Mr. Petrie? Or, okay, Commissioner Brewster.
Thank you, Chair. When I was going over this before, I remember reading something that the fuel storage tanks were going to be replaced, and now I can't find that. Do I remember that right? Or are they going to be using the same storage tank?
I will defer that to the Quick Trip. My guess is they probably do not meet their standard of today. It's similar to the one on Gulf Road, if you've been by that old Holiday Station. Mm-hmm. My understanding that was contracted through somebody else and does not meet the requirements. Okay. But I would defer that to Quick Trip this evening.
Okay.
Any further questions for Mr. Petrie? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Petrie.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here tonight? Please come forward. State your name, address, spell your last name.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Scott Teigen, T-E-I-G-E-N. I'm a vice president with the Quick Trip stores. I'll answer any questions that you got if I can. And on the tanks, we will, when we acquire the property, we will test the tanks. If they don't pass muster, they'll be replaced. But right now, we're planning not to replace them unless they fail.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions for Mr. Teigen? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Teigen.
Thank you for your support.
Yes. I would entertain a motion. The public discussion period ended with an item number 3, so there's no further public comment. So we have a motion from Commissioner Lawson, second by Commissioner Zoig. Any further discussion before we vote on the Quick Trip site? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Commissioner Brewster.
Aye.
Commissioner Davis.
Abstain.
Commissioner Erickson.
Aye.
Commissioner Holzman.
Aye.
Commissioner Lawson.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
That motion passes 8-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you, everyone, on that item. We will move on to item 9, certificates of appreciation. And I will get some hardware out here for Commissioner Davis, who has been our secretary. This is a certificate of appreciation, whereas Tim Davis has served the citizens of the city of Eau Claire as a Plan Commissioner member since June 2022, and whereas he has been an ardent supporter of Eau Claire, its downtown neighborhoods and parks, and whereas commission members and staff have appreciated his thoughtful and thorough review of applications that have come before the commission, and whereas his professional knowledge and experience has been a keystone of the Plan Commission, and now therefore, the City Plan Commission of the City of Eau Claire hereby wishes to express its appreciation, as well as the appreciation of the city staff and the residents of the city, to Tim Davis for his contributions, leadership, and service to the city of Eau Claire. Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
Yes, you bet. We have a second, a certificate of appreciation. And that goes to our chair, Greg Helgeson. Whereas Greg Helgeson has served the citizens of the city of Eau Claire as Plan Commissioner member since September of 2021 and as chairperson since May of 2023. And whereas he has been an ardent supporter of Eau Claire and its downtown neighborhoods and parks. And whereas commission members and staff have appreciated his thoughtful and thorough review of applications that have come before the commission. And whereas his professional knowledge and experience has been a keystone of the Plan Commission. Now, therefore, the City Plan Commission of the City of Eau Claire hereby wishes to express its appreciation, as well as the appreciation of the city staff and the residents of the city, to Greg Helgeson for his contributions, leadership, and service to the City of Eau Claire. Thank you, Greg.
I would open the floor to Commissioner Davis if he would like to share any words.
Yeah, I will. Abstain. No, I just, really, bottom of my heart, I want to thank city staff for inviting me to jump on this adventure. When I got involved, I took over someone else's term. I believe they had to leave the city at the time. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. Your rights are exercised by using your voice, and if you don't speak up for yourself and those around you, and maybe those who can't or aren't willing to, we're going to lose them. Change is the only constant in life, and in the time that I've sat on this commission, we have seen constant change with the LDO and the several topics that are put in front of us every month. It's been a wild ride, and you need people like you guys to sit here and fight for those who can't, and look out for the best interests of the city. So I appreciate everybody's time, and thank you so much as a group for doing this with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Thank you, fellow commissioners. It's been a great last year, great group. I've enjoyed working with you. And all my past commissioners that I've been involved with in the last 5 years. Appreciate their help. I'd like to shout out to my predecessor, Mr. Greg Granlund, who was a great chair, modeled great leadership here, and I really appreciate his leadership serving with him during a short time. And also, again, shout out to the great city staff that we have that have been so helpful to me and the commission on all these issues. It's been a real pleasure to work with such professionals. Keep up the good work, and thank you. Thank you again. We will move on to item number 10, future agenda items and announcements.
Yeah, May 4th, we have our next Plan Commission. We've got a few items. Other than that, you guys have any announcements? Oh, the comprehensive plan, though, we are in process of selecting a final consultant, so you'll hear about that soon, and we'll let you know at the next meeting.
Thank you. We have completed our agenda. We are adjourned. sure to leave the plan, the comp plan in your good hands here. Too many meetings, too many.